Hi, Michelle. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. It is recording. Um, Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today's September 5th for the SIG testing biweekly meeting. If you have anything we want to discuss, please go ahead and add it to the agenda. And if there's anybody new that wants to introduce themselves, please go ahead. It'd be great.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm a very novice contributor. I am a master student at Waterloo in software engineering, and then nice to meet you all.
Welcome. It's nice to have you.
Thanks.
I'll give you a second, Antonio, and we can go ahead and get started on your point.
Yeah, so I didn't prepare.
You're
Just
okay.
a heads up, during this weekend, Deans and SIG cloud provider started the migration of the CI to use the external cloud providers. That basically right now, you know that most of the CI is GCE, means that all the jobs that were using this cube app script that you can find in the repo that is in cluster/cube app or something like that is going to use by default the cloud provider GCP, the cloud provider GCP controller instead of the loops that were living in the queue controller manager and the kubelet. I suspected a lot of things wrong. I don't know. Deans has all the details. There are like 4 or 5 issues related. There was CI signal where detecting these failures. I think that as today everything is fine, running and smooth and green. But well, just as you know, is the goal is to move to beta in 199, so we can completely remove the internal cloud providers, the in-tree cloud providers, and from Kubernetes.
Thank you. Anybody have any thoughts on that they want to add?
Yeah, I have a question. So right now, when we run EDV tests against Google Cloud, we use the scripts that live in the cluster folder to create the clusters. Is there any plans on replacing that? Something better?
That's what I love too. And there was an issue and several discussions. This is a never-end discussion, right? So there was one point in the time that Cluster API wanted to do that, but then the Cluster API jobs were very unstable. COPS, the project, offered to do that. I don't know. I talked with Justin Santa Barbara back in the QCon in Amsterdam, and there was also some discussion, but I don't know at what point is that. And I know QBadmin wanted to do that. The problem is this. You know, when the tester becomes the testing part, right? The thing is of these scripts is that they are very stable there has no moving parts, right? The problem of these scripts is that it's bash and it doesn't grow. And I don't know, Teams and I had to spend hours just to debugging how do I plug this configuration. Then you may be doing things that are wrong and you don't even know. So I don't know how this chicken and egg problem is going to be solved, but we should for sure have something better than this cube app scripts.
Yeah, it's not a hypothetical question because I actually have an open PR in KK right now about running ARM64 EDV tests against the scripts, and it's a big fat mess to kind of work out what on earth is going on.
Can you link that PR?
Yeah, I will. Just give me a second.
Yeah, that's the problem. Then you only
And the reason I'm asking is like, as you know, Dims put together a kubetest2 EC2 launcher for cluster E3 tests, and it does ARM stuff very nicely. And it's a lot leaner because there's just a bunch of Go code, and it's very easy to reason about what on earth is going on.
Yeah, but the problem is not the tooling. The problem is maintaining the tooling, right? And it's like Qtest. We have Qtest. Michelle is here and has more context than I. We have Qtest. Now we have Qtest 2. We have the cluster app script. We have kind. We have cops is running a lot of things. Cube admin guys have Kinder, that is a version of Kind. So we have cluster API, we have Cube Spray, but
Yeah.
the only fact is that the only thing is stable for the CI that is guaranteeing is this bash script, right?
Yeah, I
I
put the
thought,
PR in the chat, and
yeah,
it already looks a bit scary. Like some of the diffs that I did to it, it's like, yeah.
cluster scripts to support. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's bash, right? You cannot add features. Unless you get Tim Hawkins and gives you all these weird commands that nobody knows that exist in Bash.
Yeah, like a simple question, right? So if you look at the diffs I'm making to like dot manifest files, right? Why do we put the arch like right at the end of the image instead of just referencing as like a multi-arch image? That's
Well,
one of the things I found. So if you look at some of the files I'm changing, like the dot manifest files, like I'm just removing the architecture and just referencing it directly, like you would in an image that's obviously multiple architecture, right?
well, the image,
Yeah.
there is another dimension of this problem. That is the architecture thing, right? The problem with the architecture thing is that nobody step up to So, for example, with ARM, we had this issue with Kind too, right? And like the ARM was a big thing like 2, 3 years ago, and the ARM people came and we want to add CI and blah blah blah, and they added CI. And after 1 month, it started to fail. Then I fixed it. Then I fixed it with Ben like 3 times, and I told them, look, if you have CI, you want Signal, you need to support this thing, right? And silent. So the problem of the multi-architecture thing is who is going to maintain it.
Okay.
So, and there is some statement in somewhere of the project saying that. I think that officially, I don't know how many. So, for example, we dropped all PPC or some esoteric combination that started to fail because one goal and back and nobody step up and we were blocked. Who can spend hours on debugging these things? So I don't know right now where we are in terms of architectures that we guarantee.
Yeah, I
But
agree with you. This is not even much about architecture support, right? It's like I need to get the shell scripts to work with both architectures, and
yeah,
it's
but
just
that's the
yeah.
thing is that's the slippery slope, right?
Okay.
So I think that Dave is the one that added CI for ARM recently. But I mean, what is your problem? That this change is not working?
It's not working. There's some initial findings that are commented on there, and it's hard to kind of make sense of what on earth is going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Cube test changes. But is there more people involved that is committing to support ARM, or why do you want
Yeah,
to
so
add ARM?
there are people supporting ARM. So we've added ARM support properly in Node. We have ARM and Node. The Node ET tests are working fine, and there are some engineers from ARM helping. That's one person
Okay,
on the
that's good.
PR. There's another person as well that you just mentioned. As both of them are on the PR. So the problem isn't that I think the E2E tests on ARM are running successfully. When I do this, it's fine. It's just the headache is our cluster scripts need to create ARM clusters. And because of some Google Cloud shenanigans, you gotta tweak, for example, the way you create the VMs.
But the question is,
But this is like the one-time setup, right? You need to set this up one time, and then the ongoing thing is like then it gets to the application, right? Your app, which already compiles to ARM, and we know the tests are running fine, are green. Like we already testing against ARM today, and it's all green.
This, if I got paid for every time that this is one time thing, I heard that, and then it's not.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems very. What I see is that you are changing timeout. Don't change timeouts.
So that was a temporary fix of something else. Like I
Yeah.
didn't want to wait 30 minutes to do something, but I'm
Okay,
regretting that
okay.
change anyway.
So, but then I can take a look later. Let me check, and I can see if I can see if I spot something. But my suggestion is don't expand on the cube app scripts. I mean, we need to eventually move with that.
Yeah, I mean, like personally, I prefer COPS. It's great. It's very stable, especially if there's a policy you're going to use the last minor versions to test head and newer versions.
But then, if they just can add a CI with COPS, they just use COPS. I mean,
I mean, if it's good for COPS, it's pretty good for upstream. So I don't see why not.
As I told you, I think that is an issue to add COPS to the CI. I need to check with COPS CI.
Well, because all we need from there is the business logic that creates virtual infrastructure in Google Cloud. We don't really need anything else from it. Everything else you're developing in head, so you should have.
What is the document? I cannot find the issue. I try to find the issue later and send it back to you about the disease. Let me add. Can somebody add me an action item on the agenda? I can do it myself. Okay, sorry. Find the issue about using software like COPS on the CI. I will share it later. I don't know. I mean, the less that we need to touch. It disappeared.
Sorry, I clicked approve, or I thought I did.
I think that they added an action item for me and.
Sorry about that, Antonio.
Yeah, nah, I was adding to remember myself to find this issue to share with Mohammed. Mohammed, you are Droid whatever in the GitHub,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's me. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I only know people by the GitHub handles, and then when you have different name, I'm confused. Sorry about that.
That's fine. It's fine. Because my name is on the handle, like you could type under my name because I'm the org member. I'm an org member. You can use that and then pop the username up.
Okay.
Like instead of moving these legacy, well, not legacy, but the cluster edu jobs to kubetest 2, which is just a wrapper for the shell scripts, jumping straight to COPS is a much better use of better use of the time that we have.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if we are going to move, things like that start from scratch, like ARM, are the perfect candidates. What we should not do is do a disruptive changes on existing, because that causes a lot of pain on developers, right? Because at the end is 2 or 3 people that we know, oh, we are changing this thing in CI, but the rest of the people is sending PRs and is sending failing and then retrying, and then this is flake, this is not flake, and the CI signer comes back and say, oh, we have I don't know how many flakes. So the best thing is always this way. The same that we did with the AWS, I think that's perfect, right? You start moving things that are the less used or canaries or whatever. And once you have them stable, you start to migrate the others. So if we are going to move to another things like ops, kubeadmin, whatever, you name it, we can start with these things like ARM, that they already don't have anything. So it's okay for that to be experimental and be unstable. Once we have signal, oh, this is working perfectly, then we can start migrating the rest of the things.
Okay.
That's so if you have, because I told you, it's the same thing that with this thing of renaming the master to main branch. I mean, I don't think that this is the only problem there is that
It's a very
they
cosmetic
can.
change for the most part.
Yeah, but the problem is not the cosmetic change. It's, I mean, nobody disagrees, and I mean, if what's easy, that should be done like 3 or 4 releases ago. The problem is, you know how many scripts depend on that? I mean, I don't think that there is anybody that is able to know the blood radius of that. We have like thousands of jobs running, depending on weird things.
Okay.
So that's an example of why that's not done. I mean, who is going to be able to narrow down all the problems that
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm more
this
than happy to, instead of trying to get the old stuff playing nice with ARM, run it with cops. Cops is very stable. We use that to deploy the ARM tests, and once those are very green and stable, then we have to revisit this conversation.
I'm going to find the link to this issue that was discussed in the new, and I'm going to mention you and this approach. And if there is no pushback or anything, just go ahead.
Okay.
We can discuss there, right? I mean, at the end is I think Benjamin, Justin, and teams should be interested in this topic. Good. I'm monopolizing the conversation. Anything else? Back to you, Brad. Sorry for.
Thank you, guys. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you everyone for attending, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you so
Don't
much.
break
Bye.
anything. Bye bye.
Okay.